Hello, Achievers. This is Achievers with JB once again. Glad to have you here. Today, we are going to talk about the habits of the rich people and the habits of the poor people because we want to be rich people. So, we need to know what is weighing us down. Before I jump into this interesting video, I'll request you to subscribe to the channel so that we can grow together as a community. I would want to hear your comments. I would want you to like our videos so that they can reach as many people as they can. So today we are talking about what the rich do and what the poor do not do, or the habits of the rich people. So the first one here is reading. Uh, Warren Buffett, when asked the secret for his success, he actually said he reads 500 pages a day. Bill Gates, I think, reads 50 books a year, which is quite interesting. And Elon Musk said he learned to build rockets just by reading. So when we read, we stretch our minds, we get to know a lot, and we can ably take decisions. Why? Because we are more informed. And one in 50 people have a reading habit among the poor. So, meaning poor people are not very conversant, or they're not very comfortable with reading. They do not enjoy to read, and that leaves them in an area where they can't make decisions. They're not sure what decisions to make. But the point is, rich people read. So if we all want to become rich and wealthy, we should begin reading. Start by reading at least a book a month. If you haven't been reading, that will not be too much. I have my target. At least I read a book. I'm pushing to read a book a week, but I read a book after every 2 weeks, which is not bad. But you can also start somewhere and start reading. Why? Because we need to know the secrets of the rich. We need to know the secrets of people that have been successful. What have they done? And we can only know that when we read books. Someone said, if you want to hide knowledge from an African, put it in a book. No, we want to break that proverb or that saying. We want to be people that read, people that have a great wealth of knowledge, and people that take informed decisions that take us ahead. The second point is the rich focus on opportunities and the poor focus on obstacles. A little story is told of a man that went to a town to sell shoes. So when he got to that town, he actually saw that no one wore shoes. And he said, who is going to buy my shoes anyway? Since no one is wearing shoes in this town, so he decided to leave. But as he exited the town, he found someone else that was also coming to sell shoes. So he told him, where are you going to sell your shoes? Those people in that town do not wear shoes. And this was very exciting for the person that was coming to the town. Why? Because he saw an opportunity. He thought to himself, I am going to sell a pair of shoes to everyone in this town. And he saw the market. But his friend that was exiting the town saw it as an obstacle. He did not see the opportunity in it. And when the other one, behold, went, obviously he made the money because he convinced people to put on shoes. The rich associate with positive and successful people. What does this mean? A saying is, I think it's a saying that is going around that you are what we see in you is what five of the people that you relate to are. So you are what you relate to. So what does this mean? Rich people associate with successful people. Why? Because they want to be successful. They actually look for people that are more successful than them. Why? Because they want to climb higher. They don't want to be the experts in their relationships. They want to learn more and more. And they associate with people that are positive in life, people that are not holding themselves down, people that are not crying because the government is not doing this. So they associate themselves with people that see positivity, but the poor associate with people that see negativity in everything. There are times when you look at someone and every time they are complaining, the government hasn't done this. If it wasn't for so and so, I would be successful. These are the people, they are always complaining. They always don't see any good thing that comes out of anything. So the poor associate with such people, and behold, you can't go far. Then the other point is the rich solve problems and make money, while the poor see obstacles and they run away. The rich see a problem. I'll give an example of the time we're in the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. When you look at Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, these guys solved the problem. Why? Because we were seated in our homes, we remained working, our children were learning on Zoom, and I imagine because of solving that problem, they got wealthy, they became rich because they solved the problem. They saw a problem and solved it. But the poor people saw an obstacle. What are we going to do? Will life continue? Will we ever get back to a normal life? That is what they were lamenting. But the rich people saw a problem, and they decided to put the entire world on those platforms. I think before COVID-19, Zoom wasn't as popular as it is today. Google Meet wasn't as popular as it is today, and Teams wasn't as popular as it is today. But the problem of the pandemic actually blew all these apps, and they're making money. Why? Because people see them convenient. Up to now, even when the pandemic is not there, they still feel certain meetings should be held in the comfort of their homes, and great decisions are made, different decisions, business decisions are made with this kind of thing. Then the other thing is the rich think both, while the poor think either or. I'll give an example. For example, if you have $5 and you want to buy a pizza, and you want to buy an ice cream, but then you can only buy one. You either buy the pizza or you take the ice cream, but you can't have both. A poor person will opt to buy either the ice cream or the pizza, one of the items, but a rich person will not settle for that. They think both. What this means is he will take the $5. After taking the $5, he will find, for example, he'll buy a box of 24 bottles of water and sell each of the bottles at 5 cents. And then at the end of the day, he will have $12. And in this way, he will be able to buy the pizza and he will be able to buy the ice cream, but he will also have another excess $2. So rich people see both, but the poor see either. Then the rich are dollar smart. Dollar smart, they invest large sums of money in things that benefit them. For example, someone will fly from Uganda to go to the US to attend this one conference. Why? Because they think they will be able to network with key people in this conference, and that will bring more opportunities towards their business. While poor people they look at the small money they have. They're very keen on where the small money goes, but they're not very keen on where the large sums of money go. They're not keen on where the large sums of money go, and in that way the large sums of money are misused, but the little monies are taken care of. So they're not into education. They wouldn't spend $10,000 to attend a conference in the US because they think that's a lot of money, and yet as they spend little by little, they could spend an amount that is that equates to that, but in something that is not beneficial to them. The rich love networking, and they spend their time volunteering. I'll give an example of a young man that started a magazine, I think in the UK. So there was this one conference where Richard Branson was supposed to come, and he did not have the money. So he kept on writing for sponsorships towards that conference, and he failed to get a sponsorship. So he wrote to the organizers and said, I'll come, arrange the chairs, I will come, clean up the place, but please make sure I am requesting that I am accepted to come for the conference. And behold, he was given an opportunity to be part of this conference. And what happened? When he came, he had an opportunity to talk to Richard Branson, and he accepted to write in his magazine. So when Richard Branson wrote in that magazine, his story was printed in that magazine, he got a number of sponsorships for his magazine, and that was the beginning of his business. So the rich, sometimes someone might not be rich, but the way they think, the mindset is rich. That leads them to the next level. So the rich volunteer and they network, while the poor, they would want to brag, they would want to brag and think, I've already achieved it. There is nothing much so and so can add to me, Then the poor people love watching TV. The poor people love watching TV. I would like to spend or copy a leaf from Dr. Ben Carson's mother, Gifted Hands, when he was telling his two sons to learn how to read because she was working in people's houses. So she told her sons that the rich people don't watch TV. They don't watch TV. So she was telling her sons to get into reading. They don't watch TV. They read magazines. They read books. So she was telling them to reduce the time that they watch TV as a parent because she wanted her children to be very successful. So poor people love watching TV, and they're following these soaps, this episode, this episode, this episode. So and the rich are reading, they're adding value, they're networking, they're into conversation. So as you waste a whole 8 hours watching TV and following soaps, someone else out there is taking a course. They're reading a book that is adding value. So how then are you able to compete with this one person that has acquired that wealth of knowledge when you're so engrossed in the TV? If you love TV, look out for topics that are more beneficial. For example, business forum, topics that bring out the limelight, topics that are very educative, that will add value to you other than watching TV, just following those soaps. Why? Because the time that you spend watching TV doesn't pay a bill. But if I read a book and completed it in 8 hours, I will be more valuable than someone that has watched TV for 8 hours. And in that way, even if we went to compete for a job, the level of knowledge that I have is much, much better than someone that spends a lot of time watching TV. So poor people love watching TV, and yet the rich use their time valuably, Then the poor people wait for someone. They wait for someone to save them. They're always saying the government, they're always complaining. They never take their blame. They put the blame to someone else. They put the blame to something else. So they're complaining, the government hasn't paid our bills. The government hasn't done this, They don't want to take responsibility. They complain and complain a lot. And yet the rich people, they step out, they because they're not crying for anyone. They step out and come up with a solution. As the poor people are giving birth to many children, thinking the government will pay for them, or they're looking at a rich relative that will take them up, the rich are giving birth to the number of children that they think they can take care of, So the rich people have an emergency fund. An emergency fund is a fund that you put aside for emergencies. A car has broken down, there are medical bills to pay, things that are unplanned for, because they will always come. The rich have an emergency fund, but poor people never think about having an emergency fund. So these are habits that are going up, because if you don't have an emergency fund, obviously when an emergency comes, you will end up borrowing. And at the end of the day, you will get into debt. Then poor people subscribe to lifestyle inflation. What does this mean? For example, if someone has a business and they're successful and the income increases, the house will change, the car will change, the schools where they take their children will change. But a rich person will look at that income and find a way of reinvesting it. The poor people subscribe to lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation is any increase in the income. Their lifestyle changes, the eating changes, the where they want to stay changes. They want to change their homes. In case they are renting a home of 400,000, they want to go to a home of 800,000. Why? Because many things have changed, and they want to state a point. But the rich will get that sum that has come in, that additional sum, and find a way of putting it to use so that it can bring more income to them. Then the poor use debt to pay liabilities. They borrow to make weddings, they borrow to have parties, they borrow to buy a car, they are borrowing for liabilities. And yet the rich borrow to create assets. Assets are things that bring money into your pocket. For example, if I borrowed and I put money in portfolio income, treasury bills and bonds, I am sure that at the end of the year, I will have my 11% coming in. But if I borrow to make a wedding, that money is gone, and yet I have to pay back the debt. So the rich borrow to create assets, and yet the poor borrow to fund their liabilities. That is the difference between the rich and the poor, the rich and the poor. So what do we learn from these videos? We've come up with many habits for the rich and the poor. So how do you borrow from the habits of the rich so that you can attain financial freedom, so that you can be an achiever, so that you can be an achiever, a parent that has achieved, that gets their kids to read and they excel in school, they get good grades, and they excel in life. Excelling in life might not only mean schools. A child, we've seen Elon Musk that said he learned how to build rockets just by reading. That means excelling in life might not mean only in school, but also in life. People that readers are leaders. You lead every other portion. For example, when you read, you have an advantage over other people because they don't know what is happening. I'll give an example. Uganda has a lot of oil, and there are many publications around the oil, the direction it is taking and all that. But people that read have the advantage. They know when the pipeline will begin, how many people are going to be recruited, what things are needed in the camps down in Tirenga for the oil. And people that don't read have no idea. So this opportunity is passing them. So how do we borrow from the habits of the rich as achievers so that we can also become rich and wealthy? Thank you for listening to me. Subscribe to our channel so that we can grow together. Like the video and send in your comments so that we know what you think about the videos and the discussions.